There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Boom, boom. May 20th. Happy Monday. We got a brand new undisputed heavyweight champion. But guess what? We don't have him for long. That's really the biggest news. And if you don't follow boxing, this is news for you. But if you follow boxing, there were rumblings about this for a while. So it was a great night for boxing. Usyk became undisputed. But he's only undisputed for a little bit. Fighting Temple. Yeah, we're going to talk about DAZN's production in a little bit. But just want to give props again to Usyk. And I just watched. See this camera. I just watched that 9th round again. And boy, that ref did a terrible job. Terrible job. Should have caught a knockdown much earlier in that round than he did. Look at this. Got family in here. Stripping. Yes. And not stripping by a stripper. Stripping by a boxing organization. Yeah. So we got an undisputed heavyweight champ. And he won't be undisputed for long because probably before June 1st, he's going to be stripped. Filip Hrgović, who has been the mandatory for like 2 years, never got a shot. And now boxing picks now to strip him. Yet nobody ever strips Canelo. So, yeah, it's too bad. And it's sad because it's nice to have an undisputed, but he won't be undisputed for long. But, boy, what a night. What a night for Ukraine. What a week for Ukraine. You got Lomachenko, who became lightweight champ when he knocked out Kambosos. And then Dennis Berinchyk beat Emmanuel Navarrete in a terrible fight. I mean, it was such a bad fight. Hard fight to watch. The only thing that I was shocked at was that it was a split decision. It was pretty clear that I thought that Berinchyk won. Navarrete did not look good at lightweight. And then you had Usyk, who was undisputed. So it was a great Saturday for Ukraine and a great night for boxing. And then boxing kicks its own ass. You know, you can always count on boxing to do the wrong thing. And Usyk's going to be stripped. I don't think he cares very much because he did attain his goal. He was undisputed at cruiserweight, undisputed at heavyweight. So he attained his goal. He became undisputed, but then boxing takes it away. So yes, family. That's family right there. Charles, let me. Can you see? Where's that book? Right over my shoulder. I'm gonna start hyping that book up that my family wrote. But yeah, Jack, it is rubbish that the belt is stripped so soon. It really is because my throat, my voice is still gone from the 9th round. I watched the fight with my daughter and my wife, and we all jumped up in that 9th round when Usyk started to come. You know, when he hurt Fury, and my throat has been bothering me since. Jack, I don't know. I don't know if Usyk and Fury are going to fight again. I have some clips from the post-fight presser. I want to play those now.
Your team has said that the referee stole a knockout from you. What did you think about the knockdown, and do you feel like a knockout was stolen from you?
I don't think about it because we have a winner. Okay, maybe. I don't think about it because we have win. Yeah? Okay, no knockout, no problem. But 12th round, it's a big drama. Yeah.
It was a close fight, you know. I believed, like, I thought I did enough, but, you know, I'm not a judge. I can't judge a fight while I'm boxing it. You know, if they would have said to me in the last round or whatever, you're down, go out and try and finish him, I would have done that. But we believe, everyone in the corner believed we were up. You know, all I had to do was just keep boxing and doing what I was doing, and you know, I thought I was getting it. But it was what.
So that was curious. Tyson Fury mentioned that twice. It sounded like he was blaming his corner for losing, because he said that twice. If I would have known I was behind, I would have went after him.
It was. I'm not going to cry about spilled milk. I've had plenty of victories, and I've
But he is
got
crying.
the glory. I've had this one loss and a close fight, you know, with a good man like Usyk, and it was what it was. I tried my best in there. I was having a lot of fun, actually. I don't know if it looked like it, but I was playing around, hands behind my back. I was enjoying it. You know, he's a good fighter, Alexander, and I was catching him, and he was catching me, and it was a good fight. So, hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, getting punched in the face.
I don't think about boxing now, please, because I say my start was September 2023. 9 months I work. Missed. I missed born my daughter. It was only this fight. Now I'm happy. I wanna back home, go to my church, pray. I wanna say, Jesus, thank you, because for me and my country, it's a big opportunity. I благодарю. No, thankful. I'm grateful for who pray for me, because it's a lot of many people. Yeah, a lot of many people. Thank you.
I believe that I was the best I could have been. I don't think I could have done any better. Maybe if they'd have said to me, write you down in the last 2 rounds, I probably could have went out and tried to attack him and tried to get him out of there myself. But
See, that's the second time he talked about that the corner didn't tell him that he needed a knockout. So I don't know if there's any friction in the corner, but that's the second time that Fury talked about that.
he's a good
Just
fighter.
finished.
Sugar, how close were you to, or what were your thoughts going through your head?
Now this was curious. So this is they asked Sugar Hill, the trainer, about Tyson Fury getting hurt, and it was a really weird response, I thought.
When Tyson sort of went down in that 9th round, were you thinking about this could be it, or were you always confident he'd get back off the canvas?
When that happened in the 9th round, obviously, I mean, Tyson's been through a lot. He's an intelligent fighter, and he's supposed to do what he's supposed to do. Protect yourself, slip, dip, hold, whatever you got to do. That's a part of boxing. It always has to be in the game plan when you get put in a situation like that.
And that was it.
Where does it all end? Do you have 100 fights and brain damage in a wheelchair? I'm not sure. But the one thing is, all the time I'm still loving the game, and I was having fun in there. I was really enjoying myself. Then I'll continue to do it. And when I can't do that anymore, I'll pack it up.
So there you go. Maybe he does pack it up. He's got a good point. Jay Rich, still can't believe Usyk pulled it off. Fury was up like 5-2, looking great, and Usyk turned it around. I picked Usyk to win. Didn't put money on it. But I scored the fight. I'm no Harold Letterman, but I had it 6-1. I had it 6-1 for Fury after 7 rounds. And then I thought it was all Usyk. So it was a close fight. Charles, dang man, what was a fight for to get stripped? I learned so much on this channel. Well, now Charles Price is a very intelligent man. Like I said, that's my family right there. You lose intelligence when you follow boxing and when you try to talk about the rules of boxing and the logic in boxing, because there is no logic in boxing. There's no logic in boxing. So yeah, it's a shame that the IBF is going to strip him, but it's boxing. And unfortunately, that's like the cop-out. That's what all fans say. Tech Dumb Dad, my man, no knockout, no problem. Usyk is a cool dude. Doesn't let anyone or anything bother him. Yeah, And I noticed this too, Jack, that there were three voices shouting at Fury. Boxing scholar. I predicted it, but I still could see Fury winning that fight. But my thing was, I thought all along that Fury is declining. I thought he hasn't looked good in many of his fights in the last couple of years. I thought he looked terrible against Ngannou, and everybody blamed it on the weight, and it wasn't a serious opponent. But he shouldn't have gotten dropped against Ngannou. I that really set off the lights that he's fading. The guy's fading. Now he weighed in at 262, the lightest he weighed since 2019. So everybody was back on the bandwagon. Oh, he's serious now. He's serious, and he lost. And I think he loses. I think Usyk probably knocks him out if they have a rematch. I don't think Fury can fight any better than he did. I really don't, because he looked good. He looked good. And I know people are going to say, what do you mean? It's only a split decision. But I think Usyk is still the fresher fighter, even though he's 37. And I just see the decline in Fury. There's just a decline, and you can't hide from it. He's abused his body outside the ring. And that's why I picked Usyk to win. AI, George Rocks, appreciate you. Yeah, boxing scholar. Why not retire? He talked about it in that press conference. He's made a ton of money. I mean, he wasn't undisputed, but I believe that I think he's past his peak. And yes, smash that like button. But let me. There was one more part of that presser. It's where
Congratulations.
Usyk.
Everybody, and good night.
Usyk got emotional talking about his dad who passed away, I think, in 2012.
Miss my father. I say my father, hey, listen, you live that, I live here. Please, no coming for me. I love you. For me, hard when my father coming for me, because I remember all my life. I know he's here. Maybe like after.
So there's the victorious Usyk. He was very emotional, and he should be. And he's 37 years old, so maybe he retires too. There's really, what more can he do? All he can do now is make money. I mean, he can enhance his legacy if he cares about that. But he's already beat Joshua twice, convincingly. He just beat Fury. If they both ride off into the sunset, I could understand it. Besides a Fury Usyk fight, what fight are you pounding the door down to see Usyk in? I mean, feel free to to talk about it. That's shite. Tech Dumb Dad says he should have never stopped going after him. He was actually ahead by 4 rounds. Then he just started being lazy. It was gassing out. Either way, he could have won the fight. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. He didn't win the fight, and he's fading. He's fading. He was not in the ring with Ernie Schaefer's or a Bomber or Deontay Wilder. He was in the ring with Usyk. Usyk is not known to have concussive power as a heavyweight. I mean, Joshua, everybody says Joshua's chinny. And I remember he shook him in that first fight, not in the second. Fury can't take a shot the way he used to. Usyk is not a bomber, and Usyk had him in more trouble in the 9th round than I've ever seen Fury in. He was in more trouble than when Wilder almost decapitated him in their first fight because it was like 2 shots he got hit with, and he got back up, didn't wobble, and then beat on Wilder the rest of that round. So I just think he's done. I think he's going downhill. There's still plenty of guys he can beat, but I think he's going downhill. He turned on his corner like Wilder. Yeah, boxing solid. I don't know if he did or not. But yes, Tech Done Dead. Sugar Hill was not wanting to be there. He was pissed. Yeah, there was some kind of friction. There was some kind of friction there for sure. Who knows? Maybe we'll never know. You had Fury up 6-2 going into the 9th. I had it the same. I mean, 3 through 6, Fury really found his groove in a lot of spots, and he was going to the body. I don't think he can fight better than that. I think Usyk can fight better in the rematch. Look, and I could be wrong, because again, you know what I go back to? Like some people, even Tim Bradley called me yesterday, praising me for my pick. I said, yeah, but don't come to me for picks, because I always go back to I picked Oscar De La Hoya to beat Manny Pacquiao. I beat Sugar Ray Leonard to beat Hector Macho Camacho. So those are my picks. You know, that's as far as my picking prowess goes. It was a clear victory, split decision or not. Usyk won that fight. I agree. Jack, I think Fury messed about too much showboating. Maybe he could have won, you know, but he didn't. And Art Tarif, when you fight Wilder 3 times, you decline. No doubt. I mean, that's a part of it. You decline by taking those shots, and you also decline by the way you take care of your body. And Fury will be the first to tell you that he hasn't taken care of his body. And yes, he got hit many times from Wilder. And remember, he got dropped by Ngannou. I'm not saying Ngannou doesn't hit hard, but he's slipping. Banana Bread, I always felt he wasn't the same after Fury Wilder won. You can't get hit that hard and be the same. I don't care who you are. If there was Bradley Provodnikov 2 and 3, Bradley would be in a wheelchair. Yeah, look, I can't disagree. I thought Klitschko beat Fury in that boring fight. Very, very close decision. That was a very close decision. But you know what? I watched it live, and I remember it was a very boring fight, and I remember not knowing for sure who won. That fight was so bad, though. I don't want to go back and watch it again. I really don't. Tech Dumb Dad, this almost made me cry. Reminded me of losing my dad and how much we enjoyed boxing together for so many years. Yeah, it made me think of my dad too. My dad died in 2008 from cancer, and he would always come over for big fights, and my friends would be there. And yeah, Banana Bread. But that's why I respect Bradley for even taking that fight and fighting like that against such a huge puncher. But thankful he fought 1 time, not 3 times. Yes, you know, he also rebounded and really, I believe his next fight after Provodnikov was Juan Manuel Marquez. So it's crazy how he rebounded. Usyk is older than Bud, but fans want to see him fight Canelo. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that Canelo fight. I can't even think about that. I can't even think about that. Tech Dumb Dad, I was sad watching Kovalev. Boy. That's another thing I want to talk about. That's the sad part of boxing. It's a great night, but there's also sad moments. Sergey Krusher Kovalev was once a dominant light heavyweight champion. HBO was touting him as a big star. This is about 10 years ago. And I produced the first feature. I forget what fight it was for, but I produced the first feature that HBO did on Kovalev. And he was great with us. He gave us, as you see, we're all wearing Crusher t-shirts, which I still have somewhere because I don't get rid of t-shirts. But he got beat pretty bad, and it's sad to see. You know, Safar is a good fighter, but Kovalev in his prime would have beat him. Kovalev is also not a cruiserweight, and Kovalev got dropped in the 10th round. He lost the decision. He's 41 years old. I don't think he has too much left. I also noticed he didn't have Buddy McGirt in his corner anymore. So, but that's the Kovalev that I remember. He's also had a lot of out of ring issues, which I don't really get into that stuff too much. But he's 41. He lost pretty badly to Safar. He got dropped in that last round. If it was a 12-round fight, he would not have seen 12 rounds. All right, I like to get all these questions in here and everything. Usyk versus well, you are the one person I think that would love to see that, except for the rest of Caballero's family. I don't think anyone is paying to see that fight. Tech Dumb Dad, I thought that the fight should have been stopped in the 9th, or could have been stopped. The ref did a terrible job. I literally just looked at that round again. You could have called a knockdown 10 seconds before, because he wobbled up against those ropes 2 or 3 times. And when the ropes keep you up, if the ropes stop you from going down, the ref has to call a knockdown. And after the knockdown, I don't know, man. I don't want to throw conspiracies because the right guy won, but it looked like he gave Fury a lot of time to recover. And at one point, Usyk had to push the ref out of the way when he was chasing him. So it could have been stopped. I think that's a judgment, but what's not a judgment is it should have been a knockdown earlier, and Usyk would have had more time to try and stop him, and he probably could have. Tyson's dad, yeah, man. We're trying not to talk about nonsense, but yeah. Jack, Fury bounced off the ropes like a WWF wrestler going for a clothesline. It was, see, again, that's what I'm saying. Fury was in more trouble in that 9th round. I can't think of a time he was in more trouble in his career, and he's been in the ring with Wilder 3 times. And in that 3rd fight, he was in trouble. One of those times he got dropped, but he can't take a shot like he used to. Can't take a shot. Ooh, Jack. I'll tell you what. If I could have, when the fight ended, if I could have made a bet, you probably could have. I wonder if they close the betting like as soon as the live betting, as soon as the bell rings. Because if I was thinking, I would have laid down a bet. I didn't think it was a draw, but I thought boxing was going to make it be a draw. You know how boxing does funny things, like boxing after Mayweather schools Canelo 12 rounds, one of the judges has it a draw, things like that. After Bivol schools Canelo for 12 rounds, schools him, and they had Bivol winning by 2 points. You know how boxing does. I thought boxing was going to do it again, and I thought it was going to be a draw. I would have put money on a draw because I thought that they were going to get him. And that 3rd card, when Buffer read it, he announced it, 3rd judge has it 114. I thought he was going to say 114, 114. And he didn't. He had it my score. I had it 114, 113. And the new undisputed. No, I don't pick fights all the time. I really don't, because honestly, most of the time I pick with my, they tell you to pick with your head. I pick with my heart. I had a show, and I should put a clip up. I didn't clip it off, but my daughter and my wife and I, we made picks before this fight, and my wife and I picked Usyk, and my daughter was very clinical and picked Fury and said why. And my wife and I were a little more emotional. But I did say, the reasons why I thought he was fading. I thought Ngannou was not because of the weight and because of he fought down to the competition, because he was 262, the lightest in 5 years, and he still lost. I think he's fading. You can't deny that he's fading. Now, Usyk is 37, and he took punishment too. Archer Reef, what's your take on a rematch if you haven't covered it? I have Usyk. I think Usyk, I can see Fury winning, but I think Usyk beats him. I think Usyk probably knocks him out. Ashley Schaefer, KIA, never seen a fighter lose his power so drastically like Kovalev. After the Ward rematches, his power was just gone. Confidence in being a power puncher was completely gone. You have a good point, because even at light heavyweight, he became a champion again, but was it Alvarez? He got knocked out by Alvarez, and then he outboxed him in the rematch, and then he beat Anthony Yard, but Yard was just exhausted in that fight. And you're right, the power wasn't there. And I thought that fight with Canelo was close to even, but I didn't see the power. I thought that the Kovalev of a few years before wins that fight, and a lot of people say no, he wasn't shot, but Kovalev also, it's known that he drank a lot in between fights. He abused his body, and that catches up to you. And you're right, that's a great point, Ashley. I mean, he has not shown the power. He's not the crusher like he used to be, and he's also 41 years old now. The Hopkins fight, the first Ward fight, the first Jean Pascal fight, I remember that Kovalev. Yeah, I mean, he was a damn good fighter. I thought he won that first Ward fight, but so be it. So be it. I don't understand this one. If Kovalev opponent was wearing a woman's wig, he would have won. But now I get it. Now I get it. Yeah, I know, man. We try not to talk about that stuff. I wish they stripped Canelo that fast. You know they're not stripping the guy that makes him 35 million plus a fight. They're not stripping him. They're not stripping him. It's all about money. If the organizations all did the right thing all the time and followed whatever their rules are to the T, but they all have different rules, I wouldn't mind. It's just boxing being stupid. Tech Dump Dad, I want to see Usyk versus Parker. He deserves it after Wilder and Zhang wins. No one has gotten better wins in the last 18 months of heavy. That's a fact right there. Parker and everyone's on the Anthony Joshua bandwagon, but Parker has the better wins. But remember, Joshua also beat Parker when they fought. And a lot of casuals don't realize that they fought before. And I was at that fight in Wales. Joshua won it pretty easy. And it was not a very exciting fight. But Usyk and Parker, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. I don't know. Usyk has scaled some heights, some crazy heights. Does he want to fight on? I think Parker does deserve a shot, but I mean, you start talking about throw that D word in, deserve, and rarely does the fighter who deserves something get it in boxing, because look at David Benavidez. He's deserved a shot at Canelo for how many years now, and he still hasn't get it. Banana Bread, I thought the ref did a good job in the night because of the magnitude of the fight. For even more controversial take, I think Wilder from Fury Wilder 1 might be the only man who can beat this Usyk. But that Wilder's gone. And Fury from Fury Wilder 2, and that Fury's gone. I think he did a good job. Maybe he didn't have to stop the fight. I think he did a terrible job in that he should have called a knockdown earlier, because it was a knockdown. Yeah, Charles, you could probably bet on rounds with those apps. You can. Well, there's live boxing. But I wonder if when the fight is over, before they go to a decision, that's when they might cut it. I think that's when they might cut it. I'm not sure, because I wasn't checking the odds. I wasn't putting any money. I was just rooting. I was rooting for Usyk. And I'll tell you, the 5th, 6th round, I remember thinking, oh man, Usyk might get stopped, because Fury was ripping the body. Fury fought the best fight he could fight, and he came up short. And by his heart's the only, and the referee, the only things that stopped him from getting stopped in that fight. Mia Miro, nobody wants to watch Usyk versus Parker. Sorry to say, there's probably more people that don't want to see that fight than do. I think if Usyk were to fight on, if he rematches Fury and beats him and he fights on, then Parker should get a shot. But you can see the way it's being said. They've already announced it pretty much. So Usyk gets stripped. He's undisputed right now. He gets stripped. Then Ergovich is fighting Dubois on June 1st. So the winner of that fight is the IBF heavyweight champion. That's in June. And then in September at Wembley Stadium, the winner of that fight fights Anthony Joshua, and then that's how Joshua. It's already planned out. So there's really nothing that we can do. Nothing that we can do. That first Ward fight was close too, and he boxed Hopkins' ears off. Yeah, Kovalev really boxed well against Hopkins, and I don't care, man. I don't care how old Hopkins is. If you outbox Hopkins, you did something. You did something. But Jack, what I'm saying is, can you make a bet on a decision when the fight is over? Before, like that moment from when round 12 ends, when the bell rings to end the round until Buffer or whoever announces the decision, can you make a bet in that time? I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Yeah, of course. Nobody knows that better than boxing fans. Nobody. Amir, I think Usyk needs to retire, go off into the sunset while on top of the world. I want to see AJ versus Fury though. AJ versus Fury that would be one crazy fight to have at Wembley. But how often do fighters retire and go off into the sunset when they're on top of the world? It doesn't happen often. Andy Ruiz versus Usyk. I think Ruiz is done, man. Ruiz, I know he's fighting again, but he's made so much money. He's not inspired. Maybe he comes back and he's inspired, but he lost all that weight and he fought King Kong Ortiz. He got dropped in that fight, and I don't think he's fought since, or was it Areola? I don't remember which one it was, but he hasn't looked good since the first AJ fight, and then he made a ton of money in that rematch. And he's got money. Well, you know where the belts go. They go up in the air, and then everyone has a belt again. Fighting tempo. I thought Fury won on points. Usyk had the more dominant round, but Fury dominated more rounds. I could see that. There were some close rounds. There were some close rounds. You can't deny it. I used to love to see the Vegas lines when they would let you bet on whether Jordan would score more than an NFL team only in Vegas. Yeah. Victor. Bit of a low blow for Tyson to mention the judges gave Usyk the decision. Yeah, it was. And I think, but I will say that at the press conference, at the post-fight presser, he was asked about that, and Frank Warren said, look, I mean, don't make anything of that. Fighters say things before they've had a chance to compose themselves. So, Jack, but I think he didn't mean to bring the Warren to it, and Frank Warren pretty much said that. Agreed, but Frank Warren said, don't judge him on that. Warren made valid points, and I think that Fury realizes he shouldn't have brought that up. Yeah, Ruiz had so much promise, but after he beat AJ, he put on those silk pajamas. That's what it is. But you know something that bothered me. So for people that don't know, I was with HBO for 15 years, and I rose up. I was a production assistant, rose up to a producer, and HBO really was at the top of the game as far as the fights they put on and the quality. The quality of, before I get into that, yes, I did. And actually, Norman Jr., I know his manager, Jolene Mazzone, so I'm trying to get him on this week. He looks sensational. And I was talking to Tim Bradley last night about him. Tim Bradley sees a lot of holes in his game, but he's only 23. So he's got time to improve. But yes, I'm hoping to get to speak to Norman. We'll see if that happens. You know, it's after the fight now. He's probably, enjoying himself. 8 times in his career, he is damaged. But talking about DAZN and the production, okay? HBO, I mean, it was top of the, let me tell you, HBO as far as production was the tops. Had the best fights, the best fighters, without a doubt, the best production. Without a doubt, the best production. I'm talking about live fights. I'm talking about shoulder programming, features, 24/7, everything. So I'm watching DAZN now. It was an 8-hour telecast, which is insane. That's a long time to be working. I get that. So I'm not talking about mistakes. I'm not one of those people that looks for, they spelled this guy's name wrong after 7 hours on the air. No, that's not the point. So that Joe Cordina, Anthony Kakachi, I hope I'm saying his name right. So that fight, Cordina was a huge favorite. 3rd round, You know, Kakache landed that shot during the round on the break. Ref let it go, gave him a warning, but they fought on. But Kakachi ends up dropping Cordina. And he was a huge underdog, almost stopped him in that third round. So I'm like on the edge of my seat watching this fight. And the round ends. So I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan. Tell me the story. I want to see the corner. I want to see the cameras on Cordina. Then I want to see replays. So there's a producer in the truck. I know a lot of things go on in the trucks. Sometimes they have to get certain promos in at certain times, but it's at the discretion of the producer, the live producer of the fight. It might be, I've been in the truck many times where they said, all right, listen, if nothing happens in this round, we're going to go to a promo for next week's fight, whatever. But if something happens, they blow that up. Forget that promo, stay here. We're going to tell the story. DAZN doesn't know how to tell a story production-wise. That third round happens. Cordina almost gets knocked out. Huge upset. They go back to the corner. I'm expecting to hear the mic in Cordina's corner. Listen to what they're saying. How's he reacting? They show a Bad Boys movie promo for like 30 seconds. They come back and they don't show the full replays. You don't hear anything in the corner. That was a conscious decision by the producer and the team, the production team, to not cover the story of the fight. And that kills me, because there's storytelling that goes on during a fight, and being in the corners is a part of that story. Replays is a part of that story. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. Now Kakachi ended up knocking him out later in the fight, 7th, 8th round, I think. I don't remember. But DAZN, I don't know what to say. They're not hiring the right people. They're not telling the proper story, because even for the main event, again, this is not about mistakes, like a graphic mistake. This is about not knowing how to produce a fight, not knowing how to tell a story to boxing fans. We pay for these pay-per-views. And in the main event, I think rounds 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, they still went to promos. Don't show me a promo in a pay-per-view main event. Don't do it. How about DAZN? You don't do it. And they did it. It's just terrible. Terrible. It's just a lack of respect for boxing fans, and not telling the story. And they also didn't have an interpreter every time they went to Usyk's corner. I didn't hear an interpreter. I didn't hear an interpreter telling us what they're saying in the corner. They didn't go to the corners enough, in my opinion. At HBO and on Showtime and ESPN, they have interpreters. They go to the corner, they have an interpreter. This fight has been on the docket for how long? And all the money that's spent, and you tell me you can't get an interpreter? So anyway, that's my production rant. Yeah, that's my production rant. It just bothered me, because we pay for these fights, and DAZN especially, they don't. It's a lack of caring for the viewer. That's what it is. They just think, oh, you know what, we got the fight. People don't care about anything else. No, we want to know. We are at home, and especially for a pay-per-view, you have the cameras, you have the technology. Take us into the corners. It's not rocket science. That's what made HBO so big in the beginning, because fights were on network TV. They couldn't stay. They had to go to commercial breaks. HBO stayed there. So it was the first time you heard the corner. And I can't stress it enough. The corner, it's a part of the fight. It's a part of the story. So DAZN just, man, terrible job. Johnny, ESPN is rough. The score ticker on the bottom is like watching ESPN2 back in the day. Very distracting. It is, but that's just business. It is. I agree, Johnny. Tech dumb dad. Their production value is cheap, ugly, and stop the damn ads in between rounds. It is insulting to not let us hear the corner's directions and come back from break after the round started. That's my point. And they're making that decision. They are saying we don't care. Either they don't care or they just don't know how to tell a story. It's not hard. It's not hard. That third round, Kakachi drops Cordina. You know what you do when that round ends? You got your cameras in Cordina's corner and you're listening for everything. You're seeing how he looks. You're hearing what the corner says. If the ref or the doctor comes in, you're hearing that. Give me 30 seconds of that. And then give me 30 seconds of replays. Show me that late hit. Then show me the knockdown and show me the problem, the trouble that he was in. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They failed. DAZN. But I know a little bit about this production game, and they're just being cheap. They're not hiring the right people. H Money Mob, George, salute, big bro. Usyk, the best fighter in the world after defeating the giant Tyson Fury. A lot of people have him as their top, their pound for pound fighter. I don't argue with people about that because that's subjective, and more power to you. If he's your number one, what he is for sure is what matters most. Really is he's the best fighter in the heavyweight division. You know what's also great? Something else I love. Everybody's riding the Tyson Fury. This is the day of the super heavyweight, and these guys from yesterday couldn't compete. They couldn't compete with these guys. Now you have a point when it comes to Jack Dempsey and Rocky Marciano and even Joe Louis. Joe Louis was 6 foot, but those were smaller guys. Those were cruiserweights for the most part. Usyk is the same body frame as a Foreman, as an Ali, as a Larry Holmes. So shout out to Usyk for showing that it's skill over just size. Sometimes size wins it, but it's skill over size. Breadman Edwards had a good a good post on X about that, because Usyk is Ali. He's the same size as those guys. So this it was just a nod to skill rather than just size. And I'm not saying Fury only has size. He's got massive skill. Jack tapping. I don't think the ref was clear enough. He shouted, "Stop boxing, stop boxing." He should have shouted, "Break." Stop. You know what? These refs got to stop shouting. Shout all you want, but how about you get in there too? And how about we get a bigger ref for two humongous guys? How about a bigger ref? How about that? One of those undercard fights, the ref, it was like he didn't want to touch the fighters. He just kept yelling what they should do. Man, you got to jump in there. You got to jump in there. If they're not doing what you say, be a referee, man. Earn your money. H Money, George Usyk was David, and he beat up Goliath, Tyson Fury. Yes, he did. Yeah, I think I played this. I agree. Should not have a pay-per-view, especially you want to do that. You want to get your ads out of the way. Do it in the undercard fights. Don't do it in the main event. Just don't do it in the main event. Amia Miro, is it possible that in certain regions we watch the same broadcast differently because we don't have any commercials or breaks from the live broadcast? Let me know where you're watching it from. Where did you watch it from? Because I was in America, in Connecticut, and I watched it. I watched the PPV.com feed, which is the DAZN feed. It's the same feed that DAZN puts out. I don't know if there was a different feed, but DAZN, man, just learn. Just learn. Why don't they have the proper production people and know how to tell a story? The first Netflix presser was a rough go. I was shocked at how bad the sound crew was. Are you talking about Tyson and Paul? Tech, I think that's what you're talking about. I didn't see. I was there, so I didn't see it. But yeah, Netflix has the money, so there's it's tough doing live events. It is, but they've got the money, and they fax these things out. When I say fax it out, you check all of this ahead of time to make sure. H Money, you must have bet some money on Usyk. Jack tapping. I watched on Amazon for the first time. Yeah, Tech. That's I just that it means something because we pay for these fights, even if you don't pay for them. They should still tell you, you know how to tell a story. That's all. Miss Harold Letterman pre-fight rules and round by round unofficial scorecards. Yeah, Harold, that was my buddy. Harold Letterman, what literally was my buddy. Um, when I got hired by HBO, he was like the Annette Jim and Larry and George. They were all stars and Roy, but Harold too, because Harold was the judge. So and Harold and he was a good dude. I we did a feature on Harold with HBO. I think it's still online somewhere. We went to his house. That guy loved boxing like nobody I've ever met. And in his living room, every every inch of the walls were covered by posters or photos or pictures. It was all boxing. So yeah, Harold was he's missed. Harold is missed. Johnny, I still get chills from the opening of HBO Productions, the opening of Tyson Burbick with yeah. Oh man. Well, yes, HBO just did it. They did it like nobody else. And I'm talking not just the fights, the production. Everything was pristine. Everything. That's just how it was. So you watched the fight from Palestine. All right. Well, shout out to you. AI Mills Lane was a small rep. I'm not saying that he didn't do a good job because he was small. I'm saying he didn't do a good job because he wasn't getting in there. And he did a bad job in that ninth round. Mills Lane was a Hall of Fame ref. Mills Lane ref some of the biggest heavyweight fights of all time because Mills Lane was not scared to. He would yell break, but he would get in there. If you didn't break, he would get you guys apart. I still remember though. Don't remember which fights he would have problems breaking the bigger guys because Mills Lane was like 5'7", 150, great shape. But yeah, look, Mills Lane was one of the all-time greatest refs. Zach, my son Wade says hi. What's going on, Wade? What's going on, Zach? Um, Tyson versus Paul. Okay, that's what I figured. Did you like the look of the undisputed belt? I thought it looked terrible. I thought it looked terrible. I thought it looked. I mean, come on, man. Saudi Arabia, they couldn't do better than that. I mean, that was tacky and cheap. You coming back for fight week? Oh man, you know what? Might have to take the wife out there. Well, first I want to see if I can get some free tickets. But maybe we need RJ back in calling fights. There's talent there on all levels of production. Just got to care enough to hire a good crew. And I'm not even talking about the announcers. I'm talking about the behind the scenes people because they are involved in calling a fight. I did a show with Michael J. Whalen, who was a former HBO producer before my time. But we showed a sequence and he talked about how the producer and the director, everyone is in sync when you're telling a story. And if you go back to watch Tyson Douglas, it's one of the all-time great shots. And it's just from being a good storyteller. Uh, Tyson gets hit with that hellacious uppercut and then a left hand by Douglas, and he goes down and he's on the ground and he's searching for his mouthpiece. He's fumbling for it. And it was just a beautiful handheld shot, and they stayed with it until he got up. And it was just, there's an art to it. There's an art to it when you have a producer and a director and people in that truck that know what they're doing and care about the audience. The zone, I don't know who it is, and I don't want to crap on them too much, but they're not doing a good job. They're clearly showing they don't care about the audience, and DAZN is clearly showing they don't care about the audience when they're showing promos when they should be showing corners. So there was a time in that Cordina fight, you could have done that in the first round, the second round, show a promo, not after there was almost this huge upset and there was some controversy. Then you're going to show a promo. It's just not smart. And these people get paid for these jobs. They get paid for them. Yeah, Mills would get all up in there. And I'm going to end this in about 10 minutes because I'm trying to go an hour. Mitch Hopper in the late grade. Yeah, Mitch was a great ref. Very sad story with him. Yeah, Rocky Martin, but he was small, but they were all pretty small back then. I mean, for the most part, those guys were small. With this, and shout out to those guys, they're putting the fights together. They have nothing to do with production, though. This is a DAZN. That was a DAZN production. Now the belt was tacky, man. I know. There's no way you can tell me that the Saudi organization made that belt. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. So, shout out to them. Tech Dun Dad, he was small for his time. He was small for cruiserweight, even for the most part. Yeah, he was. Rocky Marciano was definitely a small fighter. But that's all from my soapbox. Is there a Hall of Fame for referees? Referees get into the Mills Lane is in the Hall of Fame. There's a I don't know if there's a Hall of Fame for refs, but in boxing you can be a non-participant and be in the Hall of Fame. Steve Farhood is in the Hall of Fame. Al Bernstein is in the Hall of Fame. Jim Lampley's in the Hall of Fame. So I believe Mills Lane is in the Hall of Fame. Referees get in the Hall of Fame. So they have and Mills Lane obviously should be in the Hall of Fame. Johnny, Spinks beating Holmes twice is more impressive than Usyk beating Fury. I'm going to disagree with you, Johnny, because Holmes was clearly at the end. And I know he fought on for, it feels like 20 more years, but he clearly wasn't what he used to be. And he definitely did not take Spinks seriously in that first fight. Did not take. Now, jumping up from light heavyweight to heavyweight, now Holmes was not as big a heavyweight as Fury. And I thought Holmes won that second fight. So I disagree. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think that Usyk beating Fury is more impressive, especially because Holmes didn't take that first fight seriously at all. He was not in shape, and his skills were fading. And Larry Holmes won that second fight. That's my opinion. But to go from light heavyweight to heavyweight, man, I give Michael Spinks nothing but respect. Michael Spinks is another guy that he's his legacy. I don't want to say he's disrespected, but people forget how good fighters were. And Michael Spinks was, some say, the best light heavyweight ever. Some say he was only behind Bob Foster. A lot of people put RJ up there, but Roy Jones is the greatest fighter I ever saw. But Michael Spinks was a bad man. Michael Spinks was a bad man at heavyweight. I mean at light heavyweight. A bad man. The Spinks Jinx was a 90s version of Butterbean equivalent to today's YouTubers. Butterbean would have been a fun YouTuber. He would have been a fun YouTuber. He was fun, man. Yeah, Holmes was old. Johnny, I don't consider Fury an all-time great. Okay? A lot of people do. But I'm glad this put it to bed. Hopefully some people will stop saying that. Some people have said he beats every heavyweight ever. A lot of people say he'd give him a good fight, which I agree. He would give people good fights. Yeah, Victor, that belt, man, that was like terrible, man. That's good at a carnival for your girlfriend, right? I mean, I could give me like a couple of hours and I could make that belt. Yeah, that was terrible. Fury's a generational great, not an all-time great. And that's for, people decide that when your career is over. He's definitely one of the best of his generation, but he's not the best. It's funny because Usyk, though, hasn't had a long reign, obviously, at heavyweight, but he beat Joshua twice. And look how good Joshua, everyone's riding him now. He beat him twice easy, and he beat Fury. So it's incredible. It's incredible what Usyk has done. Jack, I think that Usyk knocks him out in a rematch. I don't know if they're going to rematch. It was a bruising fight. It was a brutal fight. So they both really have to think about it. I think they probably will because there's just too much money. There's too much money, and nobody rides off into the sunset anymore. Lennox did, Floyd did, you know. Um, you just don't see that. You wish you could change things. I wish Sugar Ray Leonard. I wish Sugar Ray Leonard could have. His moment was when he beat Hagler. Retire, bro. Like retire. Instead, you know, nobody remembers these fighters for their last fights, but I don't forget. Like it was hard to see Sugar Ray Leonard getting pounded by Terry Norris, then come back a few years later and get just annihilated by Hector Camacho, who I love, but Hector Camacho shouldn't be knocking out Sugar Ray Leonard. He shouldn't be knocking out Sugar Ray Leonard. So my point is they don't often ride off into the sunset. Ali would have been Foreman. Or if you want to push it, the third Frazier fight. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Larry Holmes. Who did Larry fight? Larry fought someone towards the end of his career that was on HBO. Was one of his last title defenses. David Bay, I think. I think it was David Bay, and he showed some moments, and I think he stopped Bay, and the crowd was cheering for him. It would have been great if he stopped then, but he didn't. But he didn't. Yeah, but yeah, Bomac is a great trainer. Bomac was not a great fighter. Freddie Roach, great trainer. Freddie was not a great fighter. Usyk is more impressive than all of them. Gold medalist, unified two-weight classes. More impressive than who? You're talking about? Look, he's a great fighter. My man Bruce. What's going on, brother? Roy should have retired after the Ruiz fight. That's another moment. Like, what are some other moments when fighters should have retired? Yeah, Roy, man, think about if Roy would have retired after he beat Ruiz. Like, I mean, you're talking about him, and just think the way he's revered now by people. If he would have retired after that, he'd be all over people's pound for pound list of all time. And he still is. And he still is because we take into account the fighters at their best. But it's hard to forget. Like Roy Jones, oh man. Like I don't want to end this. I don't want to end this being depressed because it was sad watching Roy the last few years. I mean, Roy was getting knocked unconscious by guys that he would have beat literally with one hand. Roy would beat guys after playing basketball. Royce would beat guys with his hands behind his back. And then seeing Roy get punished like the way he did, man, that was just heartbreaking. Chavez after the Camacho fight, yeah, but Chavez wasn't going to retire anytime. I mean, he just was going to keep fighting. Did anyone catch those crazy hooks that Fury was throwing from the ropes? Yeah, he was. I haven't seen anyone throw hooks like that from holding on the ropes. He shouldn't have. The ref should have told him not to do that. But I caught that. I just was watching the fight. I got up to the 9th round. I wanted to get up to the 9th round. But yeah, it was. I can't take anything away from Fury. I just don't think he can fight better in a rematch. And I think Usyk can. They are aging though, and Tyson said it correctly. He said we're not kids anymore. Usyk is 37 and Fury, I think, is 35. He's going to be 36. So, but AI felt that Inoue and Crawford wins are more clear and dominant than Usyk's. Well, more clear, most definitely, but he was also fighting a giant. Yeah, Johnny. But I was in the production truck for that, and I was in videotape. I was a replay director. And I remember I happened to look down at my paper and I heard everyone screaming. And I looked up and initially I just assumed that was Glenn Johnson knocked out because Roy wouldn't be like that. And it was Roy. The way he stiffened up, it was, you take that punishment. He's not showing any signs of the punishment. But yeah, it was sad. But we can't end this. Joe Smith too. Yeah. But we can't end this on a sad note. We can't talk about guys that ended with Bernard. Yeah, that was a tough way for Bernard to go out. But again, shout out to Ukraine, because what a week. Lomachenko, who might retire. Berinchyk is a lightweight champ. By the way, Navarrete looked terrible physically. Terrible. He would get eaten by anyone at 135. Eaten. You want Shakur to have a good comeback fight? Let him fight Navarrete. He would tear the cover off the ball. He would rip Navarrete to pieces. Navarrete can't deal with any of those guys at 135. And Berinchyk, good for Berinchyk, but I don't see Berinchyk being a factor. I really don't. Yeah. Let me throw this up there one last time. Yeah, you know what? The Krusher had his reign, and you see these T-shirts. That's me at the bottom, doing did a feature on Kovalev, and this is literally in 2014. This shoot was in 2014, 10 years ago. Kovalev was a good dude, man. Like at the end, he said, "All right, you guys, I got shirts for you." He gave us shirts. And he's done a lot of things in his personal life. We've all read about them, but he was cool with us, man. We were with him for 2 or 3 days, and John David Jackson was training him then. So the Krusher was he had a damn good run, and he's 41 now, and he went out sadly. He didn't get knocked out, but he got dropped hard in that last round. So hopefully. That's the Krusher I remember right there. Same with Joe Louis. Yeah. Joe, it's sad, man. More often than not, the stories are tragic. Yeah, Navarrete, I'm with you. He was fat. He was fat. A high blood and blood outpost. Kovalev should have retired after the fight with the British kid. Yeah, there's a lot of moments he should have retired, but guys don't retire. Guys don't retire in boxing. That's why it wouldn't be such a bad thing to have Usyk and Fury retire, because Fury said it right. They're not young. They're not young fighters. They're young men. They're not young fighters anymore. Peace to you. I appreciate you, and I've seen you in other shows. Yeah, I'm about to end this at 6:00. May 20th, Monday, but it was really a good night for boxing. But what does boxing do? For the people that didn't know, and some people are up in arms because Usyk's going to be stripped. We all knew that. We knew that he was going to be stripped. They announced it a while ago. So this is nothing new. This is what boxing does, and it's too bad boxing can't get out of its own way. But we got fights coming up this week that we'll talk about later in the week. But June 1st, that 5-on-5 card should be interesting. But right now, enjoy having an undisputed heavyweight champion, an undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion, because it's not going to last too much longer. So that's my time. Make sure you like, subscribe. I'm on my march. I'm on my march to 8,000 subscribers. And what I can promise the 8,000 subscriber is this May 1992 copy of Ring Magazine with James Toney on the cover. This happened to be on my desk one day. I said, you know what? I don't know how I'll be able to find out, but make sure you subscribe. You got to subscribe. You're going to get this 1992. Look at that. Look at what you get. You got a poster of the marvelous one. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, who was retired, but yeah, that's going to be for the 8,000 subscriber, but you can only get it if you subscribe. I started looking at the analytics, and a lot of people watch this show and they don't hit the like button and they don't subscribe. So do that. Do both. Do both. And yes, Floyd finessed his way to retiring undefeated. Yes, he did. And I'll just leave it with this. Good night. Had fun talking to you. Peace. Peace, everyone. I did it in an hour. And I did it early. And we'll talk some more boxing. But remember, I did pick Usyk. And remember, I did pick De La Hoya over Pacquiao. So remember that when I start picking fights. Peace.